Hey guys, Michael Ketchen here with another episode of the Michael Ketchen Show, and I'm joined again by the lovely Miss Starr Cochran. Thank you for coming back.
Happy to be here as always.
Oh, I know. I think at least you're excited to come back on because
I'm very excited.
I never know how people are going to feel when this is done, but yeah, our fans and everyone loved you. It's been great. It's just been a wild ride, and I thought it was a great time to bring you back for a lot of reasons. The least of which, I know we're probably getting closer to the book coming out, so we can talk about that, right? Is that all officially wrapped up? Bow on it?
Yep. So the Kindle version is available now, and the print version comes out April 15th. So yes.
Okay. Can you get us the link in the show notes? We can drop that.
Yes, on Amazon.
We'll
Yes, absolutely.
You'll get us a link, and we'll go check it out. And again, I can't recommend her books enough. And it's funny. One of the topics of those books is something I wanted to talk about. You know, obviously we did a deal together. We talked about it last time, and right now, it's this weird time in the economy where everyone is just running for the hills. And you said something on the last episode which kind of sparked this whole thought and it got me going, is that there's really 4 ways to make money. Can you remind everyone what those ways to make money are again? Do you remember your pillars of building wealth? What are those pillars, Starr?
So you either work for someone else, you work for yourself, you invest in real estate, or you invest in securities. Yes. So the securities is a broad category, anything that will grow or make money for you.
100%. And what I find hilarious and interesting, hilarious is the wrong word. That was too harsh. I've been super pissed off for the last 3 days.
Okay,
mostly
we can chat
because,
about that.
Yeah, we will. We're gonna unpack my psychological baggage right now.
All right, hit it.
But essentially, everybody always says, you know, if I could go back in time, I would have done this in 2008. I would have done this. I would have done that. I am shocked at how emotional people get in short-term news cycles that largely don't make any real impact when you come up and look for air. And I kept coming back to you and your 4 pillars, and you're obviously an incredibly successful woman, entrepreneur, business person. And I wanted to have you back on because it's like investing is a long-term game. And I remain amazed at how many people don't understand that. Can you speak to that long-term view on money and wealth and what that means to you?
So you were talking about what's been happening in the last few days with the market and stuff. Yeah. So the market goes up and the market goes down. And we have to take a breather. And people forget about this. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's driven by emotion. Markets are driven by emotion. Yep. And so they think, oh my God, I need to sell because, oh my God, or I need to buy because everybody else is doing it. It's really kind of a mob mentality. But if we sit there and I say this is a time to reevaluate, take a look at where you are and what your long-term goals are. So if your long-term goals are to invest in real estate, invest in the market, then does it really matter what's going on in the market? If you don't need the money today, there are buying opportunities in that respect, yes, if you look for them. I say no matter what the market is doing, there's always an opportunity out there. So just take a breath and just keep your eye on the future. Because does the market go up? Yes, it will.
Yeah, and that was beautifully well said. And that's why I wanted to get you on because I knew you could say it better than me. Because I was just going to start cursing everybody, call them all a bunch of fucking idiots, tell them pull some triggers and stop being pussies. That's where I was going to take it to. Because I'm looking at it and I'm going, you have the biggest economy in the world. You have a president that's purposely causing shock. Like him, don't like him, agree with him, I don't really care. But the bottom line is he's causing shock. And I can't, and I know you got some background. I feel like it's everything. You got the therapist, the comedy, everything we talked about. I remain blown away by the human psyche and the human condition, how people want to play the victim and people just want to complain to complain.
Right.
You finally have a policymaker in there. Again, I'm going to put party affiliations aside. Trying unconventional stuff. We all agree we have too much debt. Taxes are too high. Wages are not high enough. It's out of control. We're trying to shock the system. Anyone who studied economics knows there is short-term pain to get long-term gain, or you can have a lot of pain if you want to come that short-term gain. And I feel like we've just been kicking the can down the road for the last 50 years since we came off the gold standard. Now we're trying to shock the system. It's not even that bad yet. And I can't believe the blowback, the fear. I mean, we're trying to buy buildings right now. I got investors running for hills. I got people afraid of this. The sky is falling. And I'm going, every one of you has said, I wish I'd done this in 2008. I wish I'd done this in 2020 at the start of COVID. Remember that?
Right.
Remember where house prices exploded and we dumped all this money? You have that moment again, and it's like the human condition can't get past the headlines. I'm talking to my Uber driver on the way in who actually recorded it. I told him I was going to record it to make a video. And he's talking about risk, and he's like, well, how do you do this money? I'm a risk guy, but now I'm 60 and I can't do this. And I said, well, okay, you're 60. Let's talk about risk. What streams of income do you have? He's like, well, my car, I drive. Okay, well, what happens if you're not healthy? What happens if you can't drive? What happens if the car breaks? So you think risk is because you show up and you take your health for granted. Risk is you have no streams of income. You didn't invest. I mean, I don't know if you echo that sentiment or not, but what do you think on that?
So I say that we have to manage the risk. Otherwise, we're just going to be stuck in fear. If we're stuck in fear, then we're never going to make any progress.
Yep.
So the first day of the police academy, they said to me,
that's right. Also, police officer. Let's not forget the long list of accolades and this amazing. I'm telling you, that's going to be one hell of a biopic. That's where they're going to take it to. From fucking police academy to badass entrepreneur to sex advice writer. Like, here we go.
Yeah, pick a topic and let's go there. Okay, so the first day of the academy, they said if somebody wants to kill you, they will.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Welcome to law enforcement.
We just reframed the whole thing in that moment and took that down. Yeah.
Well, so that was a lesson moving forward for the rest of my life. And so as police officers, clearly they can't be stuck in fear. They have to manage the risk. You get the training, you do your research, you protect yourself the best you can, but you have to continue moving forward to do your job. Mm-hmm. A lesson for life. So I don't care what you're doing, whether it's investing or you're falling in love or you're having sex.
I feel like we just took this all over the triangle. Are we now having an interpersonal conversation, Starr? She's like, I don't care if you're having sex, falling in love, or police training. Like, these three fucking pillars could have gone anywhere, and that's where we took it. Okay.
You know I like to throw you off kilter, Michael.
Yeah,
so this is my off kilter to you right now. But it's bringing it back to the risk and the fear. So when all of this stuff is happening, people react out of fear, but they're not looking at their individual situation. So let's just, I'll bring it back. The market, dropped a bunch. Did everybody lose money and we don't lose money until we sell, but did your portfolio go down a lot? Maybe yes, maybe no. It depends on where you're invested. Did you lose a lot of money in real estate in your holdings? Mm-hmm. So in the last few days, have all of your real estate holdings go down? No. So you have to look at the big picture, and it's a very personal thing. So you have to identify and be comfortable with your fear, deal with your fear and your risk, and be comfortable with your decisions. Can we go back and say, oh, geez, if I just held on a little bit longer, if I had sold this? No, be comfortable with your decisions and move forward. We can't continue to second guess ourselves, or we're going to get stymied and we're not going to move forward.
100%. And that, there's a lot in there to unpack. But one thing you just said that should really resonate: you don't lose until you sell. Right. And Michael Jordan has this unbelievable quote. It's one of his less famous quotes, but it's my favorite Michael Jordan quote, where he says, I never lost, I just ran out of time.
Ooh, I love it.
And that has always stuck with me, where it's like, until someone literally like blows the whistle, ends the game, whether it's pursuing your dreams, your goals, your business, why would you quit? Who told you how to quit? And 100%. I ask people this, and I say, when did you quit on your dream? When did you quit on the life that you want? And no one it kind of reframes people to thinking, right? I mean, even taking it back to the Uber drivers, like, oh, I'm 60, I'm this, I'm that. And I go, yeah, but why are you accepting all this? You're giving me all the reasons it won't work. What about the reasons it will work?
He's only 60.
Hey, thank you, Starr. Reframe that. And hopefully he looks half as good as you do in 10 years from now.
Thank you.
But like I just said that to a buddy of mine today. He's a real estate investor, former Navy SEAL, just all around badass. And he's like, yeah, I was taking some advice from one of my financial advisors. And I said, oh, that's a terrible idea. He said, what? I said, well, why are you going to go? Yeah, why are you going to go get advice from a guy that you're going to give money to that you've made more money than? He's like, I never thought of it that way. I said, yeah, you're a multimillionaire with real estate. He makes fees and has never touched $1 million in his life.
Couldn't agree more.
Reverse the fucking roles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's a good question for people who are looking to hire advisors, which is why I'm not one anymore.
Yep.
So I was in the industry for a long time, and I felt as though there were so many advisors who are just they're working for somebody else.
Yes.
They're not even working for themselves. They're working for somebody else. And so how many millions of dollars do you have, my friend? And what's your rate of return after the fees? And which, by the way, the clients could never answer. I ask them now because I'm not one. And they have advisors. And I say, so what's your net?
Yeah.
And if you had invested that in an index fund or whatever, would you have come out the same?
Pretty much every time.
Pretty much every time?
There's a great book, Garrett B. Gardner's. Have you ever heard of Killing Sacred Cows?
No.
When I first left education, it was one of the books that got recommended to me early, and thank God it did. And it was I think more people have waken up to it now, but I remember I'm kind of loud and opinionated. And
No.
yeah. And it gets into why the 401k is a scam and why I tried to explain this to people. And it goes back to the facts and the way they think. Let me get this straight. You give up control of your money for 35 years into this forced savings account that you then get penalized if you want access to your money, while someone else gets to dictate what to do with your money. So you contribute, give up all control, and then if you want control back, you get penalized. And then, oh, by the way, when you go to take it out, when you finally have survived this 35-year gauntlet of life that they throw at you, you get taxed on that money.
You do.
And people think this is a good idea. Back to my point about why people frustrate me and why I can't deal with them. But we have these opportunities. We have YouTube University. We have all of these books we can read. But I can't start them here because I can't crack the human psyche condition. That's what I can't get over. These people are so afraid. It's like they can't think for themselves. I'm frustrated. I'm very frustrated.
Well, so people that we all only have so much time, and so we decide how we're going to devote our time. There's a lot of people who just are not interested in learning about their money and being proactive with their money.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why they give it over to somebody else, and they just honestly don't want to deal with it. They've got too many other things.
No accountability.
Right. So, and it's easy to blame somebody else, or it's easy to blame the market. Or it's no accountability. And
is that a bigger societal issue right now, though? I didn't think of it that way until you said it, but that kind of shows up everywhere, doesn't it?
Absolutely. People, they always want to blame somebody else. It's never my fault.
Back to the victim mindset. I never even thought about how that does show up. Yeah, even with money management.
Yep.
If I give it to the advisor, if I do what all the boxes tell me to do in order, I was having a conversation with a guy who works for us, and this guy's been making a couple $100,000 a year for the last. I actually had him add up. I had him add up how much money he's made over the last 7 years. I think that's when he kind of got into this role for another company. And it was almost about $1 million. And the reason I had him do that is when he came on board about joining the company, he said, "What are your goals?" And he's tried, give me the standard corporate bullshit. I said, no. What are your goals? And he goes, I just want to have $1 million net worth. And I kind of like, we're in this headspace. We think so big now, but you forget like when you started. I was like, dude, with what you and your wife, I'm like, we can do this in 18 months. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, so you join the company. I will give you, personally, I will coach you once a month for free. We'll go through it. Man, it's been so rewarding to get back into teaching. But one of the books, like he's reading the Rich Dad Poor Dad series for the first time. He's on cash flow quadrant. So I asked him back to that victim mindset. And so now it's kind of all, it's funny how the world is, the day is interconnecting today. As if everyone on YouTube's living in my head and is just going to see this.
Well, this will be an interesting show.
So the cash flow quadrant, Kiyosaki's second book, and he talks about, the I quadrant, right? The invest quadrant. And I asked him about school, and I said, "How old's your oldest?" And he said, "My daughter's 9." I said, "Okay, so what grade is she in?" She's in 4th grade. Okay. I said, "Do you realize in the last 4 years of your daughter's life, she has spent more time with her teachers and her schoolmates than she has with you? Who's really raising your kid?"
Right.
I said, "So do you know where the traditional school is based from?" And he goes, "Well, no. 1920s military strategy. They were taught to sit, to memorize, and to regurgitate what they were taught to think. They were never taught to think."
Right.
And you could just hear like a pin drop on the other line. And I'm like, this is what we need to get more into. But it goes back to that victim mentality, that lack of accountability. You're just on here solving all my problems today. You got me thinking different. But I got to go back on there and start blasting the world again. Calling everyone a victim and taking out my rage. Help me get rid of my rage. The producer's laughing over there too. She's like, this fucking guy's nuts. We're in this new studio. There's a shower in here as well too. So I don't know what else they filmed here. I don't know what Kaylee found this one, but
it's
shout
an
out to
interesting
we're
setup.
gonna look like a casting couch over here. We're gonna get in trouble over here today on the show.
Well, happy to be here for you, Michael, and working through all of your whatever is going on in your head today. So so happy to be
like
here.
I said, I'm all over. But yeah, I think that definitely speaks to the bigger part of it. And that was something we kind of touched on last time, but I wondered, like, do you think entrepreneurs are born or made or both?
Well, that's a good question. I would say that there are plenty of us who are wired that way. And then there are
What does that
others.
way mean? Go deeper, Starr. What is wired that way? What does that mean to you?
So I say that I'll give you an example with my ex-husband. He was a worker bee, and he had an opportunity. I found out about this after it was too late. He came up with this incredible idea. Oh my God, the company ended up being sold for millions and millions of dollars. Did he get, in the end, I think he got $35,000 out of it. Yeah, no shit. So, but because
Did you guys hear that spitefulness? See, that's the real hardcore coming out right there. That was a little slipping of the funny mouth. That was a pissed off opportunity entrepreneur right there. Yeah, no shit. That was. Let's channel that. We're gonna go deeper. Episode 3, we're gonna peel on that right there.
Oh yeah, that's a story. That's a story. Okay, so Brad was a worker bee, and there's nothing wrong with being a worker bee. We need worker bees in the economy, but we also need the entrepreneurs who've got the vision. So I think I was wired that way. My mother was an entrepreneur. I got a lot from her. My dad was a worker bee. My brother's a worker bee. But I also think that there can be some who are open to the idea that maybe they can expand their consciousness to bring that into their world.
I don't know. What did you? Well, I'm trying to think.
I know you're still stuck on that other thing
No,
about the
yeah,
shit. No.
I'm still pissed off. I'm trying to think though. When you saw that with your husband as the worker bee, did that? I guess what advice would you give to anybody? Because Hannah is an entrepreneur too, so it's a little different for me. What did that become? I mean, and if this is too personal, I apologize. Did that become like? Is that something you can work through in a marriage, or is it constantly like stars up here, big vision, big vision, big vision, and it's like, does that become a breaking point? Like, what advice would you give someone kind of going through that? Because being an entrepreneur is very stressful. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not an easy, and we're not easy people to be married to either, because our fucking ADD for new ideas, and we're problem solvers. We're junkies, really.
Oh yeah,
we're
absolutely.
druggies,
Yeah, we get bored pretty quickly. But so yeah, it's hard to keep up with us. It was frustrating for me because, as I said, I found out about this opportunity after the fact, and then of course I saw, oh my God, that could have just been an amazing adventure to take. And he just didn't see the opportunity. And I say, if you can have a conversation with your spouse, that are they open to the idea? Like I just said. So even though he may not have been wired that way, could he have been? I don't know. I don't know that he would have been really open to the idea. So it depends on the spouse. It depends on the opportunity. There's a whole lot of moving parts in that whole scenario.
I don't know. I think about it sometimes because, again, like Hannah, it's so funny because I don't know if she would call herself an entrepreneur, but she is. I just don't think she's outwardly as aggressive as I am, but she really is an entrepreneur. And that's what makes it, I've said it before, I think the psychology behind it, I think it makes it work for us because we understand the same battles, right? We understand the same wars, where I know sometimes if I've got friends who are married and they're an entrepreneur or business owner, and that, the spouse isn't, and it's like, man, I just know the other side of that struggle. And it's like, I think people think, like, I'm sure you dealt with this when you get your business. You have your own business, you must be loaded. And it's like, no, actually, for the first few years, I took a shittier paying job with no time off. And I worked 7 days a week for a thankless job for a thankless boss myself. It's a real asshole sometimes.
Yeah, I know. I get it. Been there. Yeah, I know.
100%. All right. So then the one question I did want to ask, right? Because now we just talked about the market. We talked about every other fucking thing under the sun. And I didn't ask you this last time. Given the world today, if you were starting over, what advice would you give to someone who is starting their journey today?
Learn as much as you can about investing. First of all, figure out how it is that you want to make money. Discover your passion. So if that's, I mean, you know, real
That
estate
passion
is.
word again. You love that passion word.
I,
You remember the first time we talked on the phone, you talked about passion, like you're passionate about real estate. I was like, I guess I am passionate about real estate.
know I said other things too.
I think check out episode 1 for some of those things. Involves a bird feeder and a man that we're not sure if he's a serial killer or not, but here we are.
At least I'm alive to tell the story.
Yeah, luckily. Because actually last time we started to tell me that story, I did not think you were going to make it. I thought that was going in a different direction.
I know. It was very funny. Your reaction was priceless. So super love that. So yes, please dial into the first episode because that was really pretty fun. So I say discover your passion and how you want to make money. Read, watch, listen, be engaged because nobody can do it like you can do it.
Yep.
And nobody knows you like you know you. And if you're going to be successful, you got to love it. So if you love real estate, you're going to hang in there because it's going to get shitty. We've had deals go south. I've lost money, made some crappy decisions, but I was still passionate about it. So it keeps you still going. If you're wanting to be in the market, if you like day trade, if you like Bitcoin, whatever it is, if you're passionate about that, then go in and hit it hard, is what I say.
Yeah, well, you heard that here. Starr wants you to hit it hard.
It's how I roll. We're hitting it hard.
No one likes to hit it soft.
No. What's the point?
Yes. And I think you're right. And to echo your sentiment, I was thinking of that today, the gap and the gain principle. Are you familiar with this principle? The gap and the gain? So essentially, it's written in a series, but the gap and the gain really resonates where we as people by nature, we tend to focus on the gap between us and our next goal, us and our next mountaintop, us and our next mentor, us and our next amount of money. And it's so easy to fall in the gap when sometimes we need to slow down and look over our shoulder and remember the gain. And I caught myself today. I was outside and you were literally part of this journey back to the Arizona house. On March 1st, I took out a whiteboard and I wrote down everything we were going to do over the next 30 days. And it was a lot. It was, buy the new Arizona house, buy the Montana ranch, raise $4 million, sell 2 buildings, hire an A player. I mean, when I just looked at it on March 1st, I was like, this is absolutely mental. And then we did it all. And I woke up today and I'm thinking, I got to go find money for the next deal. I got to do this. And I was like, I just did something that 5 years ago would have seemed so astronomical, like not even in the stratosphere I was playing in because I was in the gap. But when I went back into the gain, man, that confidence and that fire and that passion, like you're talking about coming out. So thank you for sharing. That was beautiful.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. One more time, where can people get a hold of you?
Starr Cochran with 2 R's, StarrCochran.com.
All right, and I got you. We're going to get you out to New Hampshire. You're going to fly out for an episode?
Absolutely.
I'm hold you to that.
Wait.
See, I did that on camera.
Right.
I don't want to let her out. She's on here now. She can't say anything.
Well, we've been getting we're getting a following. We're getting a lot of views.
Oh, that's because of you. That ain't because of me.
Oh, thank you. It's super fun.
You're going to get us the Amazon link too, right? Jake, producer Jake will put that in the
we'll
in the notes.
do that and get people to look at that new book, The Alchemy of Desire.
Alchemy of Desire. I love it. Starr Cochran, thank you for being here. And as always, bet on yourself.